And so they can't contradict the Quran. And almost all the Egyptian archaeologists, all the archaeologists in the world are all Egyptian. There's only a few. And the ones that aren't, they're not going to get access to Egypt if they start saying things are older than that. I mean, you just can't buck it. It's just like you can't do it. And what they've done, there are pyramids that are much older than 6,000 years old. But they won't let you even get near them. In fact, they've placed military installations around all of them. With these big high fences and machine guns and everything. They will not let you even get near them. And then they tell you all they are is just nothing. They're just mud masabas, is what they call them. Made out of adobe, and there's nothing there. Not even worth looking at. And you won't even find any photographs of them, hardly at all. You can't get anything on them. And any time you try to get any information on them, they just, they're not important. It was before it all began. And so I wanted to say, well, let me just see one. No, can't see one. Well, let me just walk up near one. Oh, well, okay, maybe. We'll let you walk near one. They want me to give me $7,000. Just get near one. You know, this kind of stuff. No pictures. Nothing like that. And I kept bribing people and everything else. And I finally got them to take me to this one, because this is the only one that isn't on a military installation. And the reason is because there's little villages that were all around it, and they couldn't do it. And so you got to go through people's backyards to get to this thing. I mean, it's incredible. And I finally, after a week of talking to people and begging and paying people off, and I mean, I lost a lot of money on this one to get here. It was an expensive thing. But I finally got there, and they tell you that there's nothing to it. And the reason is because there's little villages that were all around it, and they couldn't do it. And so you got to go through people's backyards to get to this thing. I mean, it's incredible. Instead of being just mud maswas, these are old, and they don't take care of them. They want them to fall down. You've got these huge, the whole things were covered with these huge granite blocks. I mean, it was real pyramids. And you look around, and for 10 miles around this complex are pyramids everywhere. Just totally a forgotten place. And there's a ramp that goes down this thing, just like in a big, huge ramp going several hundred feet down to the into the Nile. A pyramid is a water pump. I don't know if you know this. It's a pump that will pump huge amounts of water without any moving parts in it. They've been able to reproduce these in the United States. And this one's still functioning. It's 200 and something feet above the Nile, and the baby fills up with water. They got to pump that out to get in there every time. They pump all the water out to go inside of it. It'll fill right back up with water again. And the whole interior is nothing but geometrical images all over the walls. Well, as you're about to see, geometrical images is a higher level of writing than hieroglyphics. Much higher. And only they just say, oh, it's just geometrical images, they don't mean anything. I mean, they just really play it down. They don't want you to even say that it's anything. But while I was there had been a team of approximately 30 American linguistics experts who had finally got permission to get in there. And I happened to be on the airplane with one of them writing back. And he was so excited. They felt that they had finally cracked the code of language. They believed this pyramid held the key to all the languages of the world. And knowing what I know, especially with what you're about to see here real soon, they very well may be correct.
Where was that?
Huh?
Where?
It's the name of it, although I don't know how to write it in Arabic. It's called Lahirit. Yeah. It's about, I don't know, it's not even a village. It's just a bunch of houses. It probably does have some kind of name. It's about 30 miles north of Saqqara. And someday this place will, but if they tie this one down, this pyramid is about 500 or 600 years older than Saqqara. Well, if they establish that this was the beginning place, then you find that that puts Egypt at exactly the same age as Samaria. These are some of the kinds of things that they found there, which are these these 6-petal little flower of light pattern things that came out of that era. These sharp pointed things. This is Osiris here with this green skin, and he's holding the tools of resurrection. You see the rod with a 45-degree little rod. There's a frail, the hook, and the little tuning fork down at the bottom down here. This is Anubis. He represents the star Sirius, and again, he is one of the Nephers. One of the plant. You'll understand here in a little bit, but he's one of the keys to how to move in the great void to create immortality. Now this is Akhenaten and Nefertiti and one of their daughters. And it's not drawn to perfect scale. You'll see the perfect scale in just a moment. Akhenaten had a purpose. He had a few purposes to come out in the world, and one of them was to change the religions of all these cults that had happened all over there to a single religion so that they could know that there's only one God. And so when Akhenaten took power, and he took power under very extraordinary circumstances. There was actually 2 kings in Egypt and 2 cities in Egypt. They built him a brand new city called Tel El Amarna. And there's a stele there that is in the middle of the city. And if you took a satellite view of Egypt, it is in the precise, absolute dead center of the country. They have no idea how they got so accurate. I mean, it's right down to it. It's perfect. And they marked the center and they put the city right around that. And the city was made of only white stones. And they waited until the city was built, and then when it was finally built, then Akhenaten and Nefertiti left Thebes and came over. And the country was actually ruled from 2 cities and 2 kings simultaneously for a while. That had never happened before. And then they finally let the transition go, because this was a real transition period to a new way of being. And they gave the image of the sun, the solar disk, as the image of God. Now, it isn't that he knew that the sun was not God, but they were dealing with the people that used statues, that they worshiped statues. They had to worship something. And he was trying to make a transition from there. And so when you make transitions, you sometimes make compromises. And so he picked the image of the sun, which is a very good image. If you've got to pick something, at least that's the light. It's all the life and everything that comes from the sun comes to us here. The geometry of the sphere and everything, there's a lot of reasons why. Prana, from a 3rd-dimensional point of view, prana comes from the sun also. Though from 4th-dimensional points of view, prana is anywhere and everywhere. And you see the rays coming from the sun holding the ankh to the nose, to the breath, showing that eternal life comes from the prana and from the sun, from the. It's not a perfect religion that they were giving here, for sure, but it was much, much better than what they had before. And this, by the way, is the lotus flower, which was the symbol for Atlantis. It was the Nepal Mystery School that brought the lotus to India. It's written in India that they did that. And it says the Nepal Mystery School did it. It says right in there. There's several writings about the Nepals that were there even before Buddha, long before Buddha. But here you see them out of the vase and dying because Atlantis was dead and dying. This is the actual stele that came from. And now what you're going to be seeing is the actual height differences. True. Now look at him. Look at his shape, this long skinny neck, little tiny waist and everything. What you're looking at is a very close image of what he really looked like. But I'll show you one here. Now, this, when Akhenaten took over, he said, first of all, number one, we have to be truthful. We can't hide anymore, because there was a lot of conspiracy and the kind of stuff that's going on now. A lot of that stuff. It'd be like a president coming in and saying, okay, all this stuff, we're going to end all this stuff right now. We're going to really end it. And so Ma'at became the primary symbol of the 18th dynasty. Ma'at is the one with the wings with a feather over her, and Ma'at means truth. The essence of truthfulness. And so he changed all kinds of ceremonies, and everything got changed. He went around and re-geomanced all the temples, which they really got pissed at him for doing that. He even changed the art form, where you start seeing, he says, draw it, paint it, make the statues just like you see it. Don't lie. Because to him, when you start making these things, when you start making these people that are standing like this and all these distorted things like that, that's a lie. Because you didn't draw it like you saw it. So he says, all your art has to be just like a photograph, because he knew about photographs, but you got to, just like what you see, that's how you do it. And so you begin to see the art of the 18th dynasty looks rather modern. And it doesn't look like anything like you ever saw before. Just suddenly this whole new art form came out, which included the statues were to be made just exactly like the person would see. And here is Akhenaten. This is in the Cairo Museum. And according to Thoth, you are now looking at exactly what he looks like. And this thing to the top up here is about almost 15-something feet. He was 14 and a half feet tall from his head to the top of his body. And you're looking exactly at the body, this high waist way up here, coming out with his long, sloping things. His knees are much lower, and these skinny little legs at the bottom. And he had two hearts in his body, because Sirius has two suns. Most systems are polar suns, and you reflect what's going on in your sun more than you know, I'll tell you. What's happening, the internal processes and things that are going on in there, and the nature of your system that you're in, your bodies reflect this a lot. So anyway, where were we? So this is what he actually looked like, and this is Nefertiti, which was found when I'll explain in just a moment here what happened to. Well, I might tell him now, I guess. No, not the right moment. Anyway, this is Nefertiti. She was found in, this bust of her was found in Tel El Armana. They just totally destroyed the city. They removed every rock after he was gone. They didn't want the world to ever know that Akhenaten ever existed. I mean, they went around and they got they combed everything and destroyed everything they could. They completely removed an entire city, stone by stone, and spread it to the world. They went around to all the murals and throughout all of Egypt and erased any mention of Akhenaten. Because, she's asking why. Because he was considered the great heretic, because he was the one that destroyed their beloved religion. And so they all hated him. You see, the priesthood hated him, because the priesthood were all the millionaires and the powerful people. And he said, you don't need them anymore. God is within you. And the priest said, what? I won't be able to drive my gold chariot anymore. And they did not like to hear that. And then the military was the most powerful military in the world. They were ready to just take over the planet, and they could if they were ready. They were incredible. And Akhenaten was a pacifist and said, no, you can't do that, and made them all come back onto their shore and said, you can't do that. If we're attacked, okay, but other than that, only for defense only. But he was also a very good politician, so he put a lot of the military people in political power places to appease them. But basically, they did not like him because they wanted to go out there and cause hell, and he didn't let them do it. And then the people didn't like him because they all liked their little religions, and they were really into it, and they really believed him with their whole hearts, even though they were going in the wrong direction and it wasn't true. They believed it was true, and they didn't really like this new religion that it was, that everybody was supposed to follow. It would be like George Bush coming in, making all our military come back onto the United States, and saying, okay, there's not all the religions are wiped out. There's going to be the Bush religion, and these kinds of things. I mean, there was a great deal of extreme. People were really, really uptight over this, and the top brotherhood knew that this was going to be incredible, but they had to try. And so they destroyed this whole city. I'll tell you what they did to him in just a moment. They destroyed this whole city, and this was found in an underground room that they didn't know was there. And that's how this survived that. And a few things survived that were hidden in places. So there were a lot of people that really did love Akhenaten and Nefertiti and saw the beauty of what they were trying to do. And so you had but it was a relatively small group compared to the rest of the country. By the way, underneath this hat, she's always considered like this very beautiful person and everything she is, but she doesn't have a normal skull. She has a much higher skull here, which you can now see. And she's not wearing clothes. That was the other thing, is because they felt that clothes is not being truthful. And so they didn't wear clothes except for ceremonies and certain things like that. But the rest of the time, you just didn't wear clothes. And to just be open on every conceivable way. But a lot of things about her, if you notice, these huge ears, long, skinny neck, and if you can see, their waist is right underneath their breast. It's not down where it's just like right underneath there. And this kind of a pot belly thing is, it's just part of their nature. This is two of the sisters. This is a little detail of something. Now, what you're looking at is just like an actual, this is just what the artist was seeing here. Again, this really high waist, these little tiny legs underneath here, and these huge skulls, this long neck. And Nefertiti's skull was not anything as big as Akhenaten's or the daughters. This is an actual one of one of the older daughters when she grew up here. And you can't see the angle. I'll show you the angle in just a moment. But that skull is really big. It really goes back there. And these ears are enormous. Sound and sound vibration and voice sound is a real big part of their lives. Very much like it is with the dolphins. Sound is a very crucial aspect with them also. And so their ears and their hearing sensitivity is way, 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 way over what we've got going right now. But here you could see, this was another one. You could see how big his skull is that goes back there like that. It's because they were interpreting the reality from a totally different way, and it required more brain mass back in there to do this. But the amount of brain mass is real important. It's like the biggest brain in the world, other than dolphins, whales, and humans, I think it's the gorillas or whatever they are. They have about 750 milligrams, I think it is, of brain mass. It takes approximately 1,000 milligrams before language is developed. A little baby, when it's approximately a year and a half, 2 years old, or somewhere around in there, that's when their brain mass reaches 1,000 grams. That's what it is, 1,000 grams. And that's when language starts happening. So what they suspect is that when a gorilla ever reaches 1,000 grams, that it will start talking just like we do. Coco? Because you talk? Sign language. The dolphin, when we're an adult, we have about 1,500 grams average brain. The dolphin brain is 1,850 grams. They have a much bigger brain than us. And so obviously the dolphins are a little bit further along than we are. I mean, in terms of, in a lot of things. They have certain areas of their brain that we don't even know what the heck they are. We don't even know what to do. We don't even know what they're for or anything.
What does the archaeologist say about evolution?
They don't know what to say about this. They really don't have any idea at all. Oh yeah, they do. I know what they do say. That's what they say. They say they're sick. They got this disease that caused these bodies to be distorted. That's why. That's what they say. Yeah, it was a real big thing. It was just it was a real big thing. It was a really big. They were really big. I mean, if somebody 14 foot came crawling in this room, it would definitely be a big thing to you. I'll tell you. It was to them too. I mean, they were afraid of these guys. There's no doubt. They were really afraid of them. And anyway, this is one of the teenagers here. Look at this baby.
How many grams do you think they have?
Oh, it's going to be, probably, judging by the size, probably about 2,500 or something. They're about double the size of our brain.
They didn't grow hair.
I don't think they had hair. In fact, most of the vast majority of the ETs, if you're familiar with them or anything, they usually don't have hair. It's kind of not necessary kind of thing.
Beard.
Huh?
Beard?
Oh, well, yeah, they tend, that was a real male macho thing, that they really felt that it was important to have this beard right here. The rest of it they would shave, but right here they wanted this long beard. But it was a style. I mean, even Queen Hatshepsut, she was the first female queen that controlled Egypt. And that was such a powerful thing that she went around wearing a beard. You needed that beard, boy. It was real important. But you can see how big this skull is. I mean, for a baby. You can see also why their hips went way out like that. I mean, they had to have these really wide hips to deliver that kind of skull. You may laugh, but that's, you got to get that thing out of there. And it's pretty big. And look how big that ear is compared. It's almost as long as the distance from, the whole face of it. It's huge. I mean, if you were holding that baby, the first thing you would say is, "This is not human."
You know, the same way. Some of the Egyptian births, they used to oblongate the head to mimic at one point.
She was talking about some of the Egyptian births, they would oblong the head. This was true in all three areas of both Egypt, Peru, Yucatan, and in Tibet, is that when the babies would come out, the normal human beings would try to tie off with these tight bands to make the skull grow out like this, because they wanted to mimic the ascended ones. Anyway, here's another one. This is King Tut, and he was only 18 years old when he took over. He took over directly after Akhenaten and Nefertiti. They don't know where he came from. He's not. He has no lineage. They don't know where he showed up or how he came from. He wasn't from Akhenaten and Nefertiti. They don't think, and yet he's still got this bigger skull and these big ears. He's obviously part of it. He was in telepathic communication with Nefertiti and ran the country through her. She ran the country through him. Put it that way. See, what happened was in the very end. This is the part you'll kind of need to know is. The populace of the population of Egypt, the military and the priesthood all got together and said, "Let's get rid of this guy." But they couldn't kill him because you can't kill an immortal being. There's nothing you can do. You can do anything you want. Nothing will work. You'll find this out at one point. You can't shoot them, you can't stab them, you can't do anything. Nothing will work because they have a field around them that will just not allow it to take place. You can't poison them, you can't do anything. So they did something very, very, very interesting. It was really ingenious. The actual story goes that they poisoned him because the people who were watching it happen and who wrote it down saw him drink this stuff, which they thought was poison, and they saw him fall over, and he looked like he was dead. And they went there, and he had no heartbeat. And after I read all this stuff, I asked them, I said, what happened? And they said, well, it was close. And I said, well, what happened? And he said, they hired 3 black Nubians who were like magicians. And they made this substance, he says, which the closest thing that he could describe to me was what they use in voodoo, where you drink this stuff. It doesn't kill you. It makes your heartbeat and everything go down so slow that you look like you're dead. And so he said what they did is they had this whole sarcophagus created and planned, and when he fell over, then the physician came up and checked him and says, he's dead. And so everybody thought he was dead, and they immediately carried him out and put him into the sarcophagus and put this magical seal, whatever that means, around the lid and put the lid on. And he then, they never embalmed him, they never did anything. They just put him in there and got rid of him. And took him somewhere and hid him. And until the little bit of the seal broke free, and then his spirit got out of that body and left.
Whose body was in the sarcophagus?
They've never found it. They've never found any of the bodies, not any of them, except for King Tut. And that was planned. They've never found, he's the only one in all of Egypt from the beginning of time until now that they've ever found a tomb that was intact. And that was part of the deal. They wanted all of those things to be found. They wanted them all to come out into the world because they have very special vibrations. They have the vibration of what he was teaching in them. It was no, I'm sorry, they poisoned Akhenaten, but it was not poison. And now here's what happened with him. I need to say one more thing and we can ask questions on this. This is Akhenaten's house. It's in New York. This is the Lima Museum in Peru. And in there, just one more quick thing. These are other skulls that have been found in there. There were these huge skulls that were found in Peru. I took the wrong angle. If you got the right angle, you'd see it's the same huge skull and the same kind of thing again. And this is one of my teachers, Kalu Rinpoche. I like to give you his image. He's a Tibetan Lama. He was one of the teachers that I really, really love a lot. And if you could see him, he has a real similar kind of thing. His neck is a real long, skinny neck. This is a collar. His neck is this long, skinny neck that comes up like this kind of thing. But those same skulls have been found in all 3 of those places. Yeah. Okay. I want to tell you what happened. And this is the important part of all of this.